Looking at some of the positives from Tuesday's game, the movement of the front two, Gale and Delap, whilst they didn't score, it created so much space for other players. You must be really pleased. Even though they haven't scored, they're doing a great job up front.
Yeah, I thought that was their best performance so far for what I've seen. Obviously I was at the Blackburn game as well. Well, obviously they played up top, but I thought, yeah, certainly that game was. I thought they were a threat the full game. I think certainly they deserved a goal for the performance, but as you say, when they do that amount of work for the team, I thought they linked the game well. I thought they were a threat. They stretched the game. They took the ball in. They allowed us to get up the pitch, and we defended from the front, and they triggered it off. So yeah, really pleased.
It was what I would term a really intelligent away performance. But one of the things that I thought was obvious was the confidence that started to flow through the team. The mentality seemed to change. And a lot of people were saying in the second half that was a really good performance in terms of keeping going, sustaining the fight. Now, it takes a long time to get to the fitness level that you probably want, given the high tempo you want. But do you feel that that's starting to improve now?
Yeah, I think that it's difficult for me to comment because like when you're saying like it was good and it's an improvement, I can't really base it on anything. I've got nothing to base it on. I can only base it on what I've seen since I came in. But what I do think is we've made incremental steps at the moment that are improving. I think in possession, I thought we were better. I thought we moved the ball. I thought the third goal sort of summed that up. You know, I thought some of their combination play around the edge of the box was better. I certainly thought our determination, our willingness to work, and the hard graft that the lads put in, which I think's a given really, I thought that was considerably better than, for instance, the Reading performance. So in that respect, and I think when you do that and you get the rewards of it, it breeds confidence, and I think naturally then the mentality starts to improve. So yeah, that was nice to see that.
Given therefore that you can't comment on previous things, do you see a change in the motivation in training? Do you see that they're more up for training?
I don't even think it's a motivation. I think it's just the intensity, you know, because naturally it's, if you do something at a pace, you become used to doing it at that pace, and then when somebody asks you to go beyond that pace and do it quicker, then naturally you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable because it's not the norm for you. So I think for us at the moment, I'm trying to get them to a stage where they get comfortable being uncomfortable, shall we say, and the fact that how quick we do things, how much we want to hunt the ball, we want to get up, we want to get after them, we want to be direct in our play. But naturally, listen, there's different variables that can affect that though, you know, because I think if you look at our defence, what I would probably say about our defence at the moment, if you look at the personnel in it, it's arguably best served sort of defending its box, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because I think we've got big sort of lads in there, they're good at defending sort of the crucial areas, if you like, and I think getting a couple of first goals allowed us to sit slightly deeper, defend the space, and then hitting the counter. But there's going to be games like Reading, like Swansea, where we're going to have to force the issue, and the difficulty you're going to have is you're going to have to defend half a pitch, and that's a different challenge for us.
One thing you will know is that the set pieces were better and the work at corners was better, and you'll know that you've worked on that. You must be really happy with the outcome of that work.
Yeah, I think at the moment, we were looking at some stats this morning about that. I think the expected goals on them are 0.7, which is nearly a goal a game, which is really good. So yeah, in that respect, I think that's pleasing.
You need a high level of fitness to play the way you want to play.
Yeah.
And you also need to have time to recover, particularly if you're not as fit as you would want people to be. So my question before we get onto the Queen's Park Rangers game is, do you feel that the players will have had sufficient rest time to even consider keeping the same team if you want to?
I think the fact that we didn't play last Saturday helped. I think it was the third game in a week. I've been more concerned about it. I think the fact that they know mentally they're going to get a break after this one because there's that little gap, I think that motivation in itself sometimes certainly helps.
So on to Queen's Park Rangers. They've had a fairly decent start to the season. They had a great win last night against Millwall. They've got some really good players like Chair who provided the 2 assists, and Willock. What sort of game are you expecting from them?
Well, I've played against QPR this season. You know, I think, yeah, in my opinion, it shouldn't have finished 2-2. I thought we were good in the game when we played them earlier in the season. So
you would say that?
Yeah, well, I watched the game back and the stats reflect that as well. We were better, so but but never mind. But yeah, no, listen, they're a good team. They're dangerous. What I will say is, I think now they've got much more players fit now than what they did have when I was at Sunderland. We played them earlier in the season. I think that Willock missed that game. Ethan Laird now is available on the right side. They've got the boy Pal, the left back, available as well. So Balogun's been added to their squad. So they've got much more depth than what they had then. And I think they're a dangerous team. You know, they play a specific style which is different from probably anybody else in the division. But I think they're good at it. I watched the game last night again against Millwall as well.
It's a compact ground.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that suits the type of players you've got, or does it not matter to you whether it's wide open spaces of Wembley or it's Queen's Park Rangers?
No, I think it does have a bearing on it. I think that we are arguably, you could probably say that we are maybe better in compact spaces rather than certainly Wembley. Wembley's a big pitch. But yeah, listen, I think the variables naturally affect the game and what type of game it's going to be. To how much effect, I'm not quite sure. You know, we'll have to see when we get there. But I've been to Queen's Park Rangers a lot of times with different teams that I've had. I enjoy going there. I think it's a really good place to play your football. I think the atmosphere is good, and I'm very hopeful. I think I've got a particularly good record there, so I'd like to continue that.
At this point, I'd probably best not tell you that Stoke's record in London isn't great, but we did win at Queen's Park Rangers last year, so there's a...
Records are there to be broken, aren't
Yeah,
they?
correct. Looking at the injury situation, you had a problem where obviously the goalie, something happened to him pre-kick-off. Where are we with the injuries this week? Time and recover okay from his knock?
Yeah, obviously the time frame for timing for playing that game to playing this game, we need to have a look at in terms of how he's feeling. But yeah, it's a quick turnaround for somebody who hasn't played football in maybe 3-4 weeks. And
can you enlighten us on the goalkeeping situation?
The goalkeeping situation is that Jack didn't feel right before the game. Joe came in, performed very well, and that's a goalkeeping situation.
You're really difficult to get any news out about the team, you know, and I understand that. But
yeah.
Are there any of the long-term injuries looking like they're going to do, dare I say, a Lazarus like Timon did and get into the team a bit quicker than you expected?
No, I think they've all got their own time frames in terms of when they're due to be back. So I don't think any of the time frames have sort of shifted significantly. So they still are what they are. Unfortunately, we've got some longer term ones like Suter and guys like that who, yeah, we just need to be careful with him because he's been out that long now that we're working on his fitness, we're getting him ready, but it's a process to make sure that we give him the best chance that when he does come back, he's fit and available and doesn't break down.
And Jacob Brown has been playing in a position that he isn't really used to, and he was the top scorer last season with 15 goals. You must be looking forward to, even though he puts a shift in and he'll run through brick walls for any manager, you must be looking forward to when you have the ability to get him back up front.
Well, what he'll do is he'll give us a different option at the top end of the pitch. Jacob is very different for the strikers we've currently got that are playing there. I think all four strikers are very different. But yeah, I don't see Jacob's out and out position being as a wing back. I think unfortunately for him at the moment, he's the best guy suited to do the job. When I have played wing backs before, I think the last two wing backs that I played with naturally were both wingers as well. So I do like to be aggressive in the tighter positions.
And you've got the break coming up. Do you think therefore that the players will be looking really to get this game under the belts, get 3 points and move on with a lot more training coming? Because if you get these 3 points, you're level with Queen's Park Rangers, and that 6 point gap's gone, and you don't really want to go into a break not doing well. Do you want me to?
I don't
Is
think
it important? Is it
I
important?
don't think
to
it
win
really
this game?
matters.
You don't.
Do you know what I mean? The fact is, this game's important, the next game's important, and the next game's important. So whether it's before a break, after a break, in the middle of a break, it doesn't really make any difference. You know, every game's important. So yeah, I think we just want to, obviously, we had a really good result the other night. I think the lads, you could see how pleased they were after the game. I was really pleased for the fans, obviously, taking that journey over midweek, when it's on Sky in particular as well. So that was great for them. And we want to make sure that the fans want to come to the games, irrespective of how far it is, because they know and understand that we're more than capable of getting a result, and as a fan you would want to see that. So yeah, I think for us it's important that we go there, we try and make sure we take some of the momentum for the other night, we capitalise on it in this game, you certainly don't want, like you say, 2 weeks without a game where you've got a negative result. So yeah, we'd certainly like to make it a positive one.
And lastly from me, there's 10 games before the World Cup break, after this break.
Yeah.
Have you set the players' targets, or do you just keep those in your own mind?
No, I've never done it, never will do it. Every club I've ever been at, all I've ever focus on is the next game. The next game's the most important game of the season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alex, taking into account the amount of injuries you've got, are you near what you would like, continuity? Because that's what all managers like, same again each week. Are you close to that, or is it obviously you've got to wait until everyone recovers?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I've never really worked that way. So I'm not superstitious, because I know some managers that if you train in a specific way that week and you win, they'll do the exact same. They'll get the same they'll have for lunch, they'll put the same socks on, they'll do all that sort of stuff. And because the team's doing well doesn't necessarily mean that the team's the best team to win the next game. So if I look at a team and I think their weakness is in some way, shape or form in a different manner, and the team that just won the previous game, I wouldn't have any hesitations of changing the team if I felt it was necessary for the match. So in terms of getting that sort of continuity, as you say, I think that's why you've got modern day squads. I think the fact that we do have 3 games in a week very often as well means you do need to freshen it up, and I think it's important that each player understands their role in the team in terms of what they're required to do.
From the point of view of retention of the ball, I mean, obviously the win is always the big factor, but the retention of the ball is always going to be the big factor, and obviously Hull had more retention of the ball than you did, but you got the result. Is that a big factor in the way you look at the game?
No, because we scored 3 and they scored 0. So
and that's the bottom line, isn't it?
It doesn't matter how much you have of the ball. Do you know what I mean? It really doesn't matter how much you have of the ball. So, would I like to have the ball more and score more? Yeah, of course. But like I said earlier, I think that when we take a 2-goal lead, I think that we're better defending, maybe slightly deeper in the pitch. And naturally what happens is you have to concede the ball to a certain extent, because if you don't, you need to apply pressure. If you apply pressure, your back line needs to be higher and you end up defending at halfway line. So from our point of view, sitting in a sort of shape and then hitting counter, hitting in transition, I thought suited us down to the ground. And the simple fact is, for me, I might have an idea of how I would like us to do things, but then what I've got to do is I've got to try and do things for where we currently are at the moment and the players that we've got available, because I've got to suit their needs and what their sort of strengths are. Not what my thoughts are on the game. So my job's to make sure I win matches, and that's what I'm trying to do.
And QPR, of course, do play an open, expansive game, and they do like to have retention of the ball, and they've got people with assists, and Willock is in fine form at the moment, 5 from 6 games. So, but they have other players, not just him, that can hurt you, don't they?
Yeah, technically they've got good players in the middle of the pitch. Chair's obviously technically a very good player. Tyler Roberts is a good player. Willock's a good player. They've got Lyndon Dykes as a target man if they want to use that. They've got Macaulay Bonne who can stretch it in behind. Sam Field, Stefan Johansson. Yeah, I know them really well. So yeah, they've got good players, but equally we've got good players. So it should be a good game.
And game management is an important factor, and you proved that you can do that in the early stages of your management, haven't you?
Yeah, but but we should be able to control the game. Do you know what I mean? We've got good experienced players in our team. So if we're leading a match, what you don't want to do is you don't want to overexpose yourself. There's no need. You can invite them onto you, and then you try and hit the spaces that they've then left. If we need to force the issue and get after a goal, naturally you're going to make the game a bit more of a basketball game, because at times you need to. We did that against Swansea in the second half, and we got our rewards by getting the goal. It's not always going to fall in our favour. So, but the decisions that I'll make in terms of how we try and play the game, in the main, will be a conscious decision. In terms of how open I want the game to be, how cagey I think we need to make it for ourselves, just to give us the best chance of getting the result.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Alex, Stoke City have a terrible reputation of conceding goals of late, and I think you found that against Reading and Swansea. But at Hull, clean sheet. You must be pleased by that, but also, do you think you've hit on the winning formula?
I think it's far too early to say that. I think what we've had one good result. So, no, I certainly wouldn't go that far. There's still a long way for us to go. We've got a lot to prove to ourselves. We've got a lot to prove to everybody. Do you know what I mean? Because the simple fact is, in football, one result's one result. The next day it's forgot. It's what you do in the next game. And that's obviously, that was my focus immediately after the matches. Yeah, it's great, enjoy it, well done. Next one. Do you know what I mean? That's the important thing. Consistency is the key in this league, if you can put a run together where you go bang, 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 you put a few back-to-back wins together, you can climb probably 10 spots in the league. I mean, that's how tight it is. And if you look at the division at the moment, there's some big clubs that people would have tipped to be at the top end of the table, and they're not at the top end of the table at the moment. So I think what it does show is how competitive and how difficult the league is, and every challenge in its own way is extremely hard. Not because their teams are better than their teams, the challenge just becomes different, and sometimes the challenges suit us more than others. So as far as we're concerned, we want to go to QPR and make sure we try and get a result and keep that momentum going.